All right, came out to the big farm this morning. Gonna do some slight maintenance. Gonna replace a ground blind. Maybe move one camera. Definitely gonna replace the batteries in all these cameras and kind of reset some settings and try to get them to work the way that they're supposed to. Not gonna do any big stuff today. Gonna check the food plot, see what the grass looks like in it that we planted, the oats and the wheat and stuff. Starting to get more pictures of deer moving, mostly in the morning actually, which is kind of surprising around here. Not a lot of nighttime movement. The good news is there aren't very many does, but the does we do have do show fawns with them, so that's positive. There's a couple that are running solo, so we may look at taking one or two of them out of the herd. This herd just unfortunately can't take a lot of pressure because we usually end up having a lot of young bucks here, but not a lot of does. So we'll see kind of how, as the season progresses, what deer kind of move in and settle in. We don't produce a lot of food. There's tons of acorns, but we don't produce a lot of greens or grains here because of the cows. So we do what we can, get by, and there's always a deer or two to chase here. So it's been a good farm. Enjoy that. So we'll get these projects done and see what we come up with. All right, so I'm out here doing a little bit of work. Moved the camera on our food plot. Grasses are starting to come up. Behind me, over my shoulder, is a ladder stand. And this is where I got a shot at that 8-point last year right off the food plot. And there's that limb right there that kind of blocks a lot more of the shot opportunity that I have. Makes the window very small. I'm actually going to cut part of that limb right about there where it breaks over and just drop it. And I'm not going to cut it completely off. I'm just going to let it hang down. But that'll open up my shot window pretty good. Gonna grab the pole saw, get that done real quick. Hey, what's up? So I am out here just changing some batteries, and I repositioned a couple of cameras. Not too big, just a little bit of movement. Just try to get some better angles. And then I came and replaced that ground blind. If you followed me at any time, you know I'm in the small field. Here you can see it. It's real skinny and long, and deer bed either behind it on that hill or in front of it on that hill. It's a valley. So on a north or south wind, deer will cross this, especially in the rut. Bucks cruise through here all the time. Would love to plant it in something, just don't get a chance to because of the cattle. There's a pond over here where we have the vine scrape. And so there's been a lot of big deer seen here. Been a couple big deer killed here throughout the years. But it's one of our favorite places to hunt. But I had to replace that ground blind behind me because the other one has been here for, I don't know, 5 years. And we leave the ground blind here, one, because there's not a lot, you don't want to brush it in every year. There's not a lot of fallen trees here that we can use. We're thinking about maybe refocusing that effort and taking some fallen trees and bringing them down here. But the good thing is the ground blind is here all year long, so that being unbrushed isn't going to bother the deer here. It literally will take them a day to get used to it, if that, and then they'll be fine. But I wanted to stop and talk about, I haven't been around the past couple of weeks, and that's because I deal with depression. And mental health is kind of one of my main focuses, and when depression hits me, it hits me pretty hard. I go to some pretty dark places. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about it right now, but we may bring some of that up and talk about it. But I tend to shut down when I'm depressed, and thinking about renewing that ground blind, putting a new one there, replacing the old one, reminds me of one of my favorite scriptures. I actually have it on my hat. Romans, where it talks about you have to renew your mind. And I think Paul wrote that because you're talking about a guy who killed a ton of people, right? And I've even heard preachers say that when he asked God to take away his thorn in his side that he's talking about the mental aspect of what he did before he had his encounter with Jesus. And so in the vein of mental health and getting out and replacing something old with something new, that, by the way, I was blessed with, that story will come later this year. It reminds me that I have to continuously renew my mind. I have to stay in God's word. I have to know what he says about me. Because I heard someone say that everything you think about yourself is temporary. What God says about you is permanent, because it's God and he is permanent and we are not. And so that's an interesting thought to play around with. But renewing myself by getting out and doing something, renewing myself by saying, this is what I like to do. This is kind of part of a purpose that I feel for my life. Brings me out of some of those bad situations. Not all the time, I'll be honest with you. The last one was pretty tough to get out of. Through the blessings of prayer and being with my family and staying in the Word, I was able to do so. And I'm still around to talk about it today. So more to come on that as the season progresses, but we're getting close. It's only a couple weeks till season kicks off. I still don't have a deer to hunt. I have a nice little 8-point that showed up that I think is 3.5. He might be 2.5. He's just really heavy in his body, so we'll leave him alone. So none of the big deer that I expect to be in this area have shown up yet. The other trail cameras at the other farm are not working at all, so I'm actually going tomorrow to fix those, figure out what's going on there. So I have no idea what's there. But deer started showing up. We got a couple does that are siloed. They don't seem to have fawns with them, but most of the does here do, so that's great. Good for the population. We did get a food plot in. We did not get the food here that we wanted, but there's tons of acorns and that crop looks healthy. So we'll just see what happens as the season progresses. If there's not a mature buck here, which has happened before, we've had years where there are just 3-year-olds running around, no 4 or 5-year-olds. We'll take what we're given and we'll hunt with it that way. May have to adjust some season goals, but just a shout out, if you are struggling with mental health, do yourself a favor. Don't give up. It is not worth giving up. There are people there that need you. If God doesn't take your breath away, there is a reason that you are here, and he has a purpose for you, and it's just kind of up to you to figure out what his purpose is, not what you think your purpose is. So love you all. Have a great day.